What's up, everybody? So going down this weekend, we got UFC 325 Volkanovski versus Lopes 2, and this is going to be my full card breakdown and predictions. To start the card, we have 4 road to the UFC fights. A lot of unknown here. A lot of unknown. To me, these are very tough fights to predict, but we're still going to go ahead and do it anyway, right? So first fight of the night. We got Namsrai Batbayar versus Aaron Tal. I'm going to go with Aaron Tal to win this thing by a second round knockout. Here's why. Namsrai is a very well-rounded fighter. He's got a solid ground game, solid wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, pretty good striking, right? He's got some power in his hands, but he gets a little bit wild on the feet. Now, so does Aaron Tal. Right, and Aaron Tal training over at City Kickboxing, he kind of has that sprawl and brawl kind of style, right? He wants to keep the fight on the feet, push you back up against the octagon side, put immense amounts of pressure on you, and take you out with his striking. And I think that's what he's going to do to Batbayar in this fight, because Namsrai, if you watch a lot of his fights, he gets into these kind of back and forth slugfests to where he is able to land some big shots and put guys away. I just don't know if he's able to do that to Aaron Tal, who is a very, very tough fighter and a guy that he just brings it, man. Like, he just gets after guys and gets in their face, right? And his only loss was to Elijah Smith, who's doing pretty good in the UFC, who's got a very, very good ground game, right? Does Batbayar have the skills to go out here and take down Aaron Tal and keep him on the ground? From what I've seen, maybe he does. But I just think the pressure that Tal is going to put on Namsrai is going to back him up against the fence, make the shots predictable, be able to stuff them, be able to keep this thing on the feet to where I think that Tal's striking is going to ultimately get to Namsrai and he's going to be able to get him out of there in round number 2. And even if Batbayar does take down Tal, I don't know that Aaron's going to panic. And we've seen a lot of these City Kickboxing guys, they are very good on the feet and they tend to have very good takedown defense. So I think if Aaron puts the pressure on him, cuts good angles, sets up his combinations, I think Aaron Tal gets the job done here. So I'm going to pick Tal to win this fight by second round knockout. Next, we got Sulangrangbo versus Lawrence Louis. I actually think that this is going to be a barn burner. I think that this is going to be one of the more entertaining fights on the entire card. Both of these guys, from what I have seen, are very good strikers, right? Lawrence Louis, a City Kickboxing guy, right? The thing about Lawrence Louis, from a lot of the CKB guys that I've seen, he does not have particularly great movement. He moves forward in a straight line, doesn't really move his head at all, and a lot of that is because he kind of just leans over his front foot, leads heavy on the lead leg, tries to find those countering opportunities, and when he lands, he is able to really hurt guys and put them away. He's able to just add up the damage. He's able to put pressure on guys. But when you watch Sulangrangbo, this dude is fun to watch, man. He's got really, really fast hands, really explosive striking, very, very dynamic, very quick. And that's why I'm going to side with him in this fight. I think that he is going to get a second round knockout over Lawrence Louis in this fight. Now, I could very much see Lawrence putting the pressure on him, backing him up, and catching Sulangrangbo in an exchange, because I do think that Lawrence has, just kind of has that presence where he's able to move forward, put that pressure on you, not really be fazed by getting hit with big shots. But I don't know that he's fought somebody with the speed and the versatility that Sulangrangbo brings to the table. And I know he's only 20 years old, which is kind of crazy, man. He's already 10-3 as a pro, right? 20 years of age. Lawrence Louis, right? 29, 7-1. But I'm going to go with Sulangrangbo here. I'm going to favor the speed and the explosiveness that he brings over kind of the flat-footed Lawrence Louis who just kind of plots forward. So I don't know. I think it ends in a KO either way, but I'm going to side with the speed here in Sulangrangbo. I like what I've seen from him. All right, next we got Sebastian Szalay versus Kiichiro Nakamura. I feel like this is a tough one to call, man. I like Sebastian's well-roundedness. I feel like his experience might be a weapon for him in this fight because he's got that kind of karate-like style, right? Kind of darts in and out of range with the blitzing boxing combos. He's got some fast whippy kicks, but I haven't been wowed by him. Right? And maybe he goes out here and just takes down Nakamura, controls him on the floor. But what we've seen from him is a bunch of decisions, right? He's kind of a decision merchant, right? I know he's coming off of a knockout loss over Yoon, and that was impressive. But from what we've seen from Sebastian, He kind of just is content with going out there and playing this points battle, pick and poke, and I feel like in this fight, he's not going to be able to do that against Nakamura. Nakamura is a very, very talented striker, at least from what it looks like so far. Again, we haven't seen it in the UFC, but he is fast, he is explosive, he's got dynamite in that left hand, and I love the way that he gets after guys and looks to finish fights. That's why I'm picking Nakamura in this fight, man, and I think he goes out here and gets a round 3 knockout. I think that this is going to be a good back and forth, though, because I think Sebastian might be the more well-rounded fighter, which worries me a little bit, because if there's a hole in Nakamura's game, it's the fact that he can get overly aggressive on the feet, and that can allow Sebastian to duck underneath, get to a trip, take him down, maybe control him on the floor. But I really like Nakamura striking. He's fast, he's explosive. The way that he sets up the left hand, he's got some nasty kicks as well. Good footwork, good movement, good timing. I got to side with Kiichiro in this fight, man. 27 years of age. He's explosive on the feet. He's confident. And in the fights where guys did try to take him down because he's usually the better striker in there, he had the answers, right? He ended up on his back a few times, was able to scramble, get back to his feet. And I think on the feet, while Sebastian does have pretty solid striking, I still give the edge to Nakamura in this fight. And while Sebastian does have decent grappling, I don't know that it's so much better than Kiichiro in this fight. So I'm going to go with the more talented striker and the more explosive guy in Kiichiro to get this one done. All right, I think that this is our last road to the UFC fight on here. We got Dam Marfan versus Sang-Uk Kim. Street Buddha versus Frogman. Like the nicknames. This one, I don't know. I'm just being honest. I have no idea. Sang-Uk Kim, to me, he's shown he's got a lot of experience, right? 13-3, 32 years of age. He's durable. He's tough. He's got solid striking, solid ground game, good jiu-jitsu. Dam Marfan's only 2 losses are to Quillan Salkilld. Those are his only 2 losses. So outside of that, he's found a way to beat everybody else, right? And what you see from Dam Marfan is he's a pretty well-rounded fighter, right? Pretty decent wrestling, decent submission game. And on the feet, he's kind of mad, right? He's not particularly great. He's not bad, right? He's just kind of mediocre, right? He'll pop the jab, stick and move, kind of get after guys, has no problem getting after it. I think that this is going to be a high-paced fight. And I think it's going to be very, very close. But I'm going to side with Dam Marfan in this one to win by a decision. But I think that this one, this is a toss-up to me. This is kind of a coin flip here. So I don't know on this one, man, because, again, very unproven. Dam Marfan, from what I've seen, he's pretty well-rounded, pretty skilled, right? And his only 2 losses were to Quillan Salkilld. He's able to out-grapple guys, seems to get a little bit uncomfortable on the feet, though. So if Uk Kim can pressure the heck out of him, back him up against the octagon side, stuff the takedowns and put the combinations on him, I think that Sang-Uk Kim can get this one done. But I'm going to say Dam Marfan can outstrike him a little bit on the feet, can take him down, control him on the floor, win some minutes. I'm going to go Dam in this one in a close one here. But again, I don't know. This is a toss-up to me. This is a close fight. Good one. All right. Now we're getting to the UFC stuff here. We got Kaan Ofli versus Yizha. Whew. This is a good one. This is a good one here because Kaan Ofli, since coming into the UFC, right, came off of, I believe it was The Ultimate Fighter, right, gets knocked out by Myron Santos. But again, look how good Myron Santos is. He's a good striker, good range, right? He just kind of kept Ofli at bay and was able to keep him at the end of his shots. Then goes out there and loses to Muhammad Naimov, who he's a pretty well-rounded fighter, right? Naimov's not super dangerous, but he's very well-rounded, right? We saw Naimov kind of put Ofli up against the fence, give him some trouble, but then he goes out there and makes quick work of Ricardo Ramos to get his first win in the UFC. I think Kaan Ofli's a little bit better than what people want to give him credit for. But what this comes down to for me is I don't know that Kaan Ofli's pressure and wrestling is going to be enough to get it done in this fight. Because what I've seen from Yizha, he's coming off of a brutal KO victory over Weston Wilson. But again, it's Weston Wilson, right? I mean, Weston Wilson's not very good, right? So now everyone's talking about Yizha like he's some sort of knockout artist when that's not really the reality. Right? He lost to Gabriel Santos, right? Got kind of dominated in that fight, but Santos is really, really good. Right, so outside of that, I mean, what we've seen from Yizha, he's predominantly a grappler, right? His striking has gotten much better. He's explosive on the feet, and I think that that's kind of the difference for me in this fight is the fact that Yizha is a little bit more precise on the feet. He's got power in his hands. He's got good movement, good timing, and if the fight does hit the floor, He's got some pretty good jiu-jitsu. So while Ofli is a shorter guy, he's strong. I mean, they're both 5'7", but Ofli's he's like a stout dude, man. And I could see him weaponizing the pace and putting it on Yizha in this fight. But I just feel like the striking of Yizha, it's came a long way, man. And I from what we've seen from Yizha, he's predominantly a grappler. He's got a solid submission game. His wrestling's all right. I think his takedown defense holds up enough in this fight for him to go out here and win a decision over Kaan Ofli. But I think this is going to be a close one. So I'm not ruling out Ofli in this fight, because if he could turn this into a grit fest, walk down Yizha, close the distance, push him up against the fence, really wear on him, I could see Kaan Ofli getting this done, but I think that Yizha is definitely better on the feet. I think he's got precise striking. He's got power in his hands. We saw that against Weston Wilson. And Kaan Ofli's defense, it's not particularly good. So I think Yizha stops the takedowns, keeps the fight on the feet, starts to apply some methodical pressure as it plays out on Ofli. And then I think Yizha lands the more damaging shots on the feet to get this one done. I'll say 29-28. I think Ofli wins the first round, and then we see Yizha start to take over. So give me Yizha here. Next, we got Jonathan Micallef versus Oban Elliott. This is a good one. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to write off Oban Elliott, right? He comes into the UFC, comes off a DWCS, right? Gets the win over Val Woodburn. Val Woodburn's not very good. Beats Preston Parsons, knocks out Basil Hafez, where it's like, whoa, wait, what do we have here? We got big head Oban. Oban Elliott's got a fire hydrant for a head, man, right? He's a well-rounded fighter. He's tough. He's durable. His striking's pretty good. He's got a pretty good ground game. And then he runs into the Korean Tyson. So young Ko. And Ko is looking like an absolute nightmare in this weight class, right? So I don't really fault Oban Elliott for losing this fight, but he got dominated. He got absolutely controlled and dominated in this fight. I just feel like Jonathan Micallef is going to win this fight, though, man. Like, I think that Oban Elliott, like, people might be a little bit too hard on him, given that he just lost to Ko, but Ko's really good. Do I think Micallef is as good as Ko? No. But I think Jonathan Micallef is one of the more dangerous guys on the rise in this weight class, man. He has a very good ground game. We've seen that throughout his career, right? His only loss, right, almost 2 years ago, got knocked out, but goes out there, gets a submission. He's got very good jiu-jitsu, got solid takedowns, right? And what he did on the Contender Series to Muhammad Otto, that was impressive, right? Went out there, got the submission, and then is coming off of a nice victory 11 months ago against Kevin Jesse, to where he just kind of tuned up Kevin Jesse on the feet, and then I think that's what got Jesse let go out of the UFC. I mean, he stunned it on him, man, right? And Kevin Jesse kind of was a little bit of a disappointment in the UFC, but to me in that fight, it just displayed how good Micallef is. Good footwork, good movement. His striking is getting better and better, and I think on the ground he's very, very good. He's a live threat to finish this fight because he's got good jiu-jitsu. His submission game is very good. He's very opportunistic on the floor, which sometimes could get him in a little bit of a trouble, especially if he chases a submission, Oban scrambles, gets it back to the feet. While I like Oban Elliott, he's not the most dangerous guy, though, right? I know he knocked out Basil Hafez, but he's not typically this marauder that's pushing forward and landing these big shots on guys. So I'm going to side with Jonathan in this fight, man. I think his striking has came a long way. He's fast on the feet. He's got some thud. And I think his ground game is really, really good. So no matter where this fight goes, I feel like Micallef is slightly better than Oban Elliott. So I'm going to ride with Micallef to get this one done by a decision. But I think this is going to be another close fight. Next, we got Jacob Malkoun versus Torrez Finney. So you got Torrez Finney, who Dana White couldn't stand, right? He was on the Contender Series, right? Got the finish. Dana White couldn't stand him, right? And then he comes back, beats Cam Rowston, which that wins age pretty well. Then he goes out there and gets another finish on the Contender Series. So 3 Contender Series fights. And Dana's like, finally, I guess we got to let this guy in. Then he goes out there and beats Robert Valentin in what was a pretty dominant win, but Torrez did no damage. So Robert Valentin got a W on the scorecard somewhere. Torrez Finney, it's kind of crazy because for as much crap as this guy gets, he's got a lot of finishes on his record. Like he actually is kind of a finishing threat if the fight hits the floor. But does he finish Jacob Malkoun? I don't think so. And is Jacob Malkoun the better striker? Probably. Torrez Finney is this short ball of muscle that just keeps moving forward and does not stop. So I don't think that he's just going to sit on the outside and let the better striker in this matchup, who I think is Jacob Malkoun, just get off his combinations, right? Jacob Malkoun's pretty good, right? From what we've seen from him in his career, I mean, he beat A.J. Dobson, lost to Brendan Allen, but again, Brendan Allen's a top guy in this weight class, beats Nick Maximov, who's a Nate Diaz teammate, goes out there and the Cody Brundage DQ, then beats Andre Petroski, finishes him. I don't know, man. I think that this is kind of a tough fight to call. I don't know. Jacob Malkoun to me is the better striker, and he's grappling is pretty good, but can he stop this marauding pace that Torrez Finney brings to the table? I don't think so. I'm going to pick Torrez Finney to win a close one here. I'm going to say that he wins this thing by a decision. And I know that Torrez Finney's been getting a lot of crap, right? People think he's boring, and he has been pretty boring, to be fair. But he's got a difficult, annoying style to deal with. He doesn't get tired. He's very strong, very athletic, right? And he's got that lower center of gravity where he is just able to get up under guys' hips, and he's got a nasty blast double. He's a good wrestler. He's a good athlete, man. And when he does take guys down and he puts people underneath of him on the floor, like we've seen that he can posture up and land some ground and pound. We've seen that if you turtle over and give your back, he can cause you some problems in the submission game. So I'm going to pick Torrez Finney to win this fight. I think it's going to be a close one. And if Torrez Finney is boring and he doesn't land any damage and basically just comes out here and wrestles the whole time, I could see a situation to where if Malkoun can at least land some shots, he'll get it on the scorecards. But I think Torrez Finney, knowing what has happened recently, I think he's going to come out here with a little bit more urgency to land more damage, especially with how the judges have been judging recently, where they are very much factoring in damage as they should. So I'm going to say Torrez Finney wins this fight. I think that he's going to win this thing 30-27. We're going to see him open up a little bit more, land some ground and pound, soften up Malkoun, control him on the floor. And even if Malkoun does pop back up, I think Finney will reshoot, get him down. It'll just be this relentless, Marab-like approach from Finney that just kind of melts Malkoun as the fight goes. But again, I don't know. Jacob Malkoun, to me, is the better striker. So if he can stop the takedowns, I think he can outstrike Finney and win that way. But I'll side with Finney here. Next, we got Cam Rowston versus Cody Brundage. I like this fight a lot. I like this fight a lot because I think Cam Rowston's going to get another highlight here. I think he's going to get a second-round knockout over Cody Brundage. Listen, Cody Brundage is one of these guys that sometimes he shows up, but he looks like he could actually kind of be something. And then other times, Cody Brundage goes out there and you're just like, how's this guy in the UFC, right? Kind of to me, Cody Brundage sometimes is just hot and cold. But this is more about Cam Rowston. This is a guy that I've been saying is someone to keep your eye on in the middleweight division, right? He goes on the Contender Series, gets the nasty knockout of Brandon Holmes, wants the quick turnaround. Dana gets him on the card, goes out there and destroys Andre Petroski. We've never seen anybody really do that to Petroski, right? And the thing about Cam Rowston, one of the big issues in his game was the grappling. Seems like he's fixed that. Right? From what we've seen so far, he's found a way to stick and move, maintain range, keep guys at the end of his shots. I mean, he's got a nice frame for this weight class, right? He's 6'3", 75-inch reach. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage here. I think he keeps Cody Brundage at range. Attacks the lead leg, keeps the footwork going, bashes those front kicks into the midsection of Cody Brundage to start to really slow down Cody. And that's when Cam starts to open up, man, because once he starts to kind of batter you with those kicks, he just starts to find his timing, gets the jab going, starts busting up your face, starts to really let go. And then I think that that's what we're going to see in this fight. I think the kicks are going to be a big weapon early. Then you're going to see Rowston start to get to the boxing. It's going to be, Cody Brundage is really going to look to wrestle in this fight, I think, right? And that's kind of his path to victory if you're Cody Brundage. Try to exploit the grappling of Cam Rowston, because while it's looked improved, is it so much better, right? I guess that's the question. I think it is. But that's going to be on Cody Brundage to come in and test it, because if he just stands in front of Cam Rowston, he's definitely getting knocked out. But to me, Brundage is going to throw some big shots. Maybe he could surprise Rowston, catch him with something. I don't think so. Rowston's very, very good. He's slick on the feet. He's got good movement, good timing. I think he stays long, picks Cody Brundage apart from the outside. Brundage starts to get tired, and then Rowston backs him up against the fence and rips some nasty combinations and puts him down. Give me Cam Rowston by second round TKO. I like Rowston a lot. I think he's very good. Next, we got Junior Tafa versus Billy Elekana. I'm picking Billy Elekana, man. I'm picking Billy Elekana by a second-round sub. I think that Billy Elekana is one of the guys that I've been mentioning is like a dark horse in the light heavyweight division. Ever since he came into the UFC, he goes out there short notice against Bogdan Guskov, and he loses. Gets submitted. I think it was in the second round, but early in the fight, he was having a lot of success against Bogdan Guskov, who we've seen is very, very good, who's knocking a lot of people out, very explosive. Then goes out there, has a staring contest with Ibo Aslan, but outscores him, right? Kind of picks him apart from range. It was a boring fight. Then he goes out there and absolutely destroys Kevin Christian. Lights him up on the feet, drops him, hops on a submission, and gets him out of there. We know about the Tafa bros. They just cannot grapple. They can't grapple. They got good striking. They're powerful on the feet. They're fun to watch, but I don't think Billy Elekana is just going to come out here and stand in front of Junior Tafa and try to slug it out with him. Because if Elekana does that, of course, there's the chance that he gets knocked out because Junior is a pretty good striker. He's got power, decent speed. You know, when he lets his hands go, he can knock probably anybody out in this weight class. But you know, you kind of see what goes on with Junior Tafa, man, right? He knocked out Parker Porter, one of the goats of the sport, right? Gets finished by Rogerio de Lima with the leg kick. Stepped in on short notice, I think, for his brother, right? That was kind of crazy. Brother stepping in for a brother, right? Gets heel hooked by Walter Walker. Beats Sean Sharaf, who's not particularly great, but did get the stoppage. Then goes out there and loses to Tuco. Tuco's like, it's just kind of a bad loss to me. I think Billy Elekana is better than pretty much all of these guys that Junior Tafa has fought. Billy Elekana, very technical, good southpaw, good straight front kicks up the middle, good straight boxing combinations. He is a very technical fighter. Sometimes he gets in his own way, gets a little bit too technical, doesn't open up enough, and that's why you kind of get these little point battles that can be a little bit underwhelming. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. I think he's going to look to keep Junior Tafa at bay with the front kicks, and then when Tafa gets overly aggressive, you're going to see Billy Elekana duck underneath, take him down, and I think eventually he's going to get to the back of Junior Tafa and submit him by rear naked choke. I think it's kind of a slow-paced first round, right? Elekana being careful of the power of Tafa, and then you're going to see Tafa start to slow down. Elekana's going to kind of invest to the body with those front kicks, pick him apart a little bit with the boxing, then get him to the floor in round 2 and submit him. Give me Billy Elekana. I think he's a very good fighter, very skilled. Next, we got Quillan Salkilld versus Jamie Mullarkey. What did Jamie Mullarkey do to the UFC, man? They give this dude Mo Naimov, right? They give him Nasrat Akbaras. They give him Mauricio Ruffy, right? Goes out there, beats Rolando Bedoya, right? It just feels like Jamie Mullarkey is one of those guys that is on the cusp of no longer being in the UFC. And he draws a super difficult matchup once again. And Quillan Salkilld is looking like a serious problem, man. He took this fight on short notice, flies across the world basically to go out there and knock out Nasrat Haqparast with one of the nastiest head kick KOs you'll see. This was brutal. Right, and then Quillan Salkilld, right, he went out there and beat Yanal Ashmouz, but I thought that this was an impressive win because Yanal, he's got dangerous power. He's a good grappler. And Salkilld dominated him. He controlled him on the floor, outstruck him on the feet. Now, he started to get a little bit tired in that fight to where I'm like, oh, we got to watch the gas tank of Quillan. Goes out there, quick KO of Haqparast, right? Knocks out Anshul Jubilee right away in the first round. That was crazy. Beat Gage Young on DWCS. To me, this just feels kind of like a no-brainer here that Quillan Salkilld is going to get the job done. And I think he's going to finish Jamie Mullarkey in the first round. I think Salkilld, man, he's got a ton of confidence right now. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. He's 6 foot, 75-inch reach in this weight class. He's a big guy in the lightweight division, as is Jamie Mullarkey, right? And Jamie Mullarkey's got some decent striking, but I worry about the durability of Jamie Mullarkey sometimes, man. And while I think that he's pretty fundamentally sound, he just doesn't have anything particularly dangerous about him, right? He just kind of moves forward, looks to kind of just pick and poke and kind of outscore guys. That's not going to get it done against Quillan Salkilld. I think Quillan Salkilld is the better grappler. He's the better striker. He's got more power. Salkilld is literally better at everything in this fight. So in my opinion, Mullarkey basically just has to catch him with a shot, drag this thing out, start to pour it on Salkilld later in the fight. I don't think we get there. I think Quillan comes out like a bat out of hell, excited to be there, and goes out and knocks out Jamie Mullarkey in the very first round. I think Quillan Salkilld is a future contender in the lightweight division. I think he makes it look easy. Next, we got Tallison Teixeira versus Tai Tuivasa. Tai Tuivasa back in the big 2026. I feel like this is a tougher fight to pick than maybe what people think, man. Tai Tuivasa is on a crazy losing streak, but who's he lost to? Got knocked out by Cyril Gane, arguably maybe the best heavyweight in the world right now. Goes out there, gets starched by Sergey Pavlovich, okay. And by the way, both of these guys, they brutally finish Tallison Teixeira. Goes out there, gets subbed by Alexander Volkov, one of the best heavyweights in the world. Gets submitted by Marcin Tybura, but we know how Tybura is, right? He's savvy, kind of crafty. Goes out there, gets, kind of picked apart a little bit by the jab at Jairzinho Rosenstrike, loses a split decision. I know that Tai Tuivasa, man, I'm a little bit worried because he was really overweight. Really overweight, but he seems like he's kind of dialing things in, and I don't know how serious he takes the fight game these days. But what I will say about Tai Tuivasa, no matter how serious he's taking it, we know that he's got dynamite in his hands. Dynamite in his hands. And he's still 32 years of age. I know he's got some miles on him. I know he's taken some damage. But I think Tai Tuivasa is going to knock out Tallison Teixeira in the very first round. I know that this is going to sound crazy, and maybe this just ages horribly. I don't think Tallison Teixeira is that great. I don't. I know he's a skyscraper. I know he's 6'7". He's got an 83-inch reach. He's going to have a massive reach advantage in this fight. But everything that we have seen, we saw Derek Lewis go out there and stop this guy in the first round. Destroyed him, right? And I know the stoppage was kind of weird, but Tallison grabbed the fence to pull himself up. Derek Lewis was landing some shots. Tai Tuivasa beat Derek Lewis. And I know MMA math. Tai Tuivasa's got solid hands, man. And Tallison Teixeira is kind of just a straight offensive juggernaut with no defense. And in a lot of these fights, like, who's he fighting? Like, he knocked out Justin Tafa, which was his big welcome to the UFC party, which stormed right across the octagon, got right in Tafa's face and knocked him out with a nasty elbow and put the knees on him and put him away. It was impressive, right? And just because you get knocked out by the knockout king Derek Lewis doesn't mean you're not good, but I just feel like the hype that we kind of had for Tallison Teixeira, like, I don't know. Like, sure, he could go out here and just steamroll Tai Tuivasa, and maybe Tai Tuivasa is just that washed. But if you're telling me that they're going to get into a striking exchange, the bad defense of Tallison Teixeira, if he does not land first, I think Tai Tuivasa is going to land a massive shot on Tallison Teixeira and put him away in the first round. I know maybe I'm crazy here. Maybe this isn't a great idea, but I'm going to pick Tai Tuivasa. I think we get the Shuey moment, man. I think that we get the moment from Tai Tuivasa. He's going to be in Australia. He's going to be all fired up, and he's been on a crazy losing skid. And I know that maybe he is washed, but at the end of the day, he's still a heavyweight with crazy power. And I'm sorry, but Tallison Teixeira's defense is bad. It just is. He's got the tall man defense. He's not very good defensively. And I know Tuivasa isn't that great defensively either, but if Tallison just tries to march him down into range, I don't think Tai is just going to let him bully him around. Don't let him bully you, son. Like, I don't think Tuivasa is going to allow that. I think he's going to open up and land a massive shot on Tallison Teixeira in an early exchange and put him down and get him out of there. I'm going Tai Tuivasa to get this thing done. And even if we don't get this car wreck at the very beginning of the fight, and Teixeira tries to be a little bit patient because he got knocked out by Derek Lewis, I could see Tai Tuivasa throwing those big leg kicks from the outside, starting to beat up the lead leg of Teixeira, and then Teixeira starts to open up, and then that opens up the counter shot for Tai Tuivasa. I'm going to roll the dice on this one a little bit here and go with Tai Tuivasa to get this one done. I think we get the Shuey moment, man, in Australia. I think he knocks out Tallison Teixeira. All right, next, we got Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy. I went back and forth on this fight a lot. And I could see it going either way because Rafael Fiziev, he's got nasty Muay Thai. He's fast. He's got good boxing on the inside. He's very good in the clinch, good knees, lightning fast kicks, switches stances well. And we've also seen that he's got a pretty good ground game. Rafael Fiziev's ground game has gotten a lot better throughout his career, right? So does he come out here and look to grapple Mauricio Ruffy, who just got his grappling exposed against Benoit Saint Denis? But at the end of the day, was it really an exposure given how good Benoit has been recently? It feels like Benoit has kind of had this resurgence in his career, right? Gets a coaching staff, has made all these adjustments, and I feel like we're seeing the best version of BSD that we've seen, and he's actually living up to that top contender potential. So I don't know that that was this big exposing that people might think it is, right? And I know Fiziev is coming off of a very impressive win, and I picked him in this fight against Bahamondes, and Bahamondes is a very good striker, right? Crazy frame for the weight class, super tall, rangy, very good kicks, very dynamic. And Fiziev got in his face, put the pressure on him, and was able to outscore him. And that was very impressive, right? And in these losses here, right? He loses to Justin Gaethje. This was short notice, right? Goes out there, injures himself against Mateusz Gamrot, so not really a loss. And then loses to Gaethje the first time around. But again, it's a styles thing. Gaethje's very good in that dirty boxing range, right? Getting the collar tie, launching the uppercuts in close. That is a Gaethje special. To get in close and just cause damage. Right, so in a way, that's kind of a hard fight for Rafael Fiziev, and that's why I picked Gaethje in those fights, because of the type of matchup. I'm going to pick Mauricio Ruffy in this fight by a decision, and here's why. I see the scenario to where Fiziev comes out here and looks to grapple and looks to win minutes by controlling Mauricio Ruffy. I don't know that Rafael's grappling is that much better than Mauricio. I think it's better, but I don't think it's the level of BSD to just be able to keep Ruffy down and keep him in trouble on the floor. So I think Mauricio, even if he gets taken down, is going to be able to get back up. If this fight takes place in the phone booth, I think that favors Rafael Fiziev because of the knees, because of the quick boxing, because of the fast kicks. But we've seen Mauricio, man, this guy, and a lot of people, I feel like they're going to write him off in this fight because of the fact that he lost to BSD. He's 5'11", got a 75-inch reach, and I've been saying, this dude's got something special. On the feet, he reminds me of a hybrid of Conor McGregor and Alex Pereira. The way that he kind of just, he plays the long guard game, snaps those quick calf kicks out there with very little telegraph. When Fiziev, for, being a Muay Thai guy, he doesn't do the best job always checking kicks, right? Because he stands a little bit more bladed in MMA. He's kind of adapted his Muay Thai stance a little bit more MMA striking based. So I could see Ruffy attacking that lead leg early. And to me, while Fiziev may outscore Ruffy in terms of the strike totals, Mauricio Ruffy, I think, is going to land the more damaging shots. Mauricio Ruffy has got some serious power, man. He's got ridiculous timing. He's very, very creative on the feet. He's got nasty kicks. And at range, I feel like it's going to be his fight. And he's got to be careful because Fiziev's got these lightning fast kicks, lightning fast reflexes, and Fiziev's pretty good defensively. But I just feel like the power and the timing of Mauricio Ruffy is going to be on display in this fight. And again, this is not an easy fight for Ruffy, right? And it's kind of, the UFC's giving him another big fight here because they believe in him, right? When you move like Mauricio Ruffy and you got all this potential, the UFC's going to give you opportunities to try to break through here. Right, so they gave him a grappler in BSD, and now they're giving him more of a striker in Rafael Fiziev. If Fiziev grapples, if he gets into the phone booth, makes this a dirty, grimy type of fight, I think Rafael Fiziev can win it. I think he can win even in the mid-range. But we see Mauricio Ruffy, man, that right hand is thunderous. He throws a lightning fast 1-2. His calf kicks are nasty. He's got these creative spinning attacks that you have to be on high alert for. And the way that he is able to counter and throw that pull counter with the right hand, the way he throws those Patrick Mahomes fadeaway no-look left hooks, man, like he's got some crazy power, dude. And what we've seen in the UFC, right, he stunned it on Jamie Mullarkey and absolutely destroyed him. Goes out there and beats James Yontop, who missed weight by a lot. Right, was basically in another weight class at that point. He was way heavier than Ruffy in that fight. Right, and I feel like that's part of the reason. Yontop's got a granite chin, one of the craziest chins we've probably seen in UFC history. Right, and Ruffy was landing some massive shots on him. Right, and to me, if Yontop doesn't have that serious weight advantage from missing so much weight, maybe Ruffy KOs him. Then he goes out there, nasty spinning heel hook KO over Bobby Green. I just feel like Ruffy's going to keep this at range, man. He's been training with Izzy, been training with Volk. I think he's going to fine-tune some things, right? One of the problems with Ruffy is he tends to not open up enough. He tends to look for that perfect shot, that perfect one-shot KO. You can't do that in this fight, though, because I think that he's going to be able to out-damage Fiziev, but if you don't open up enough, you're going to allow Rafael to get ahead on the scorecards, and you're going to just let him start to get into a rhythm, start to let his hands go, switch stances, attack the legs, attack the body. And Fiziev is slick, man. Fiziev is very, very good. So this is not an easy fight, but I'm going to pick Mauricio Ruffy to win a close one here by decision. I expect Fiziev to outland him. I expect him to outstrike him. But I think that the damage is going to be on the side of Mauricio Ruffy. And I don't think that while Fiziev's a solid grappler, I don't know that it's going to trouble Ruffy in this fight. And I like the fact that Ruffy's been training with Volkanovski and Adesanya. I just do. I do. And I think Ruffy's going to come back and put on a great performance. I think he's going to land the more damaging shots. He's very creative on the feet, very dynamic. His timing is sick. He's got crazy power. He's got the power advantage. I think he's got the sniper advantage here, where Fiziev might have a deeper tool bag, especially in the clinch and some of these other aspects. But I feel like the Ruffy damage is going to outweigh the activity of Fiziev in this fight. So again, I think it's going to be a close one. My early lean was Fiziev, but the more tape that I watch, Fiziev's very hittable. While he beat Bahamondes, he was still getting tagged up here. And I think Mauricio Ruffy's boxing is better than Ignacio Bahamondes. I know Bahamondes has got the crazy frame and the kickboxing background, so I'd say like he's got maybe some more tools than a guy like Ruffy. But Ruffy's good, dude. He's smooth. He's fast. His timing is really good. I think he's going to be able to land the more damaging shots and get this thing done by a decision. And if Rafael gets a little bit too overly aggressive and walks into a big power shot from Ruffy, I could possibly even see Ruffy knocking him out. But I could see Fiziev winning this fight, like I said, with the activity and the output, especially if Ruffy is being too patient, trying to land that one big shot. But I think he's going to chip away with the leg kicks, mix in some kicks to the body, get the jab going, going to try to set up that left hook, and then find that right hand down the middle. And I think he's going to outdamage Fiziev and get the nod on the scorecards. Give me Mauricio here. Co-main event, we got Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis. I'm picking Benoit Saint Denis by a second-round submission. Dan Hooker is making a quick turnaround after getting dominated by Arman Tsarukyan 2 months ago. Do I think Benoit is as good as Arman Tsarukyan? No, I do not. But I think that Dan Hooker, he's 35, almost 36. He's taken a ton of damage throughout his career. And Dan Hooker is an absolute savage. One of my favorite fighters to watch. Dan Hooker is always fun, right? He's always in these fun fights. He's always dangerous. He's got a nasty knee up the middle, right? His striking is pretty good. But the thing about Dan is he doesn't maintain his range the best, right? He's got some nasty leg kicks from range, right? He's got some decent kicks. His striking, in terms of the boxing is okay, but I think he's going to have a very hard time keeping BSD off of him. And what we just saw in BSD's last fight was crazy. Went out there and starched Benny Dariush in basically the first exchange, sent him face first into the canvas. Benoit has been a different fighter since he's been working with Nicholas Otten has a coaching team with him, man. And I've always said that about BSD. He has all the attributes. He just needs a coach to basically give him the roadmap, give him a game plan, something to stick to instead of just going out there and having these free-for-all back-and-forth battles. And that's what we've seen from Benoit, right? He basically either gets finished or he gets a finish, right? Gets knocked out by Poirier. I picked Dustin because of the boxing holes that BSD has, which I think are still there. Gets destroyed by Renato Moicano. Goes out there, destroys Kyle Prepolek, which he should have because Prepolek's not that good. Then he beats Mauricio Ruffy, right, which was a huge win. Ruffy had all this hype, dominated him on the ground, was landing some good kicks to the body as well. And then the Dariush win is crazy, man. And I know Dan Hooker was on this nice win streak, right? Beat Claudio Puelles, beat Jalen Turner in a crazy war, beat Mateusz Gamrot in a crazy back-and-forth fight. I just feel like Benoit, he's just too dangerous here for Dan Hooker. And I know that Hooker's got good knees, and BSD does not move his head very well. BSD's very, very hittable, so I expect Hooker to land some shots early. But we know that Dan Hooker, he's got a weakness when it comes to the ground game. He just does. His jiu-jitsu's okay, but his wrestling isn't good. It's not that great. And his takedown defense, it's gotten better, right? We saw that against Gamrot. He can scramble really well, but that's Gamrot who doesn't really have a submission threat. It isn't very dangerous. He's a good wrestler and has crazy cardio, but he's not super dangerous. So you don't have to respect any type of really, finishing threat in that matchup, especially when you're just exploding back to your feet. You could just kind of cartwheel, Grammy roll, pop right back up. You could just pop right back to your feet with no concern. You can't do that against BSD. And if you're worried about the takedowns, BSD can feint level changes, open up some big shots upstairs, getting Dan Hooker to bite on the takedown threat. I just feel like BSD's way too dangerous, man. I feel like he's hitting his stride, living up to that contender potential that we thought he had, and I think he goes out here and runs over Dan Hooker. Maybe he gets a first-round finish. I don't know. It's just harder for me to say that BSD makes it look easier than Arman, but again, Dan Hooker, that was 2 months ago he got wrecked by Arman, right? On the feet, Hooker's got pretty much a chance against anybody, but BSD going to land some big shots on the feet, look to pressure the heck out of him, take him down. It's a 15-minute fight. BSD, his fights really don't go to a decision, so I don't know that Dan Hooker finishes him. I don't really see that happening. It could, right? Maybe times a knee or something, lands some kicks, sticks and moves, just pulls out that Psycho Dan mode, Tattoo Dan, right? But I'm going to go BSD, man. I think he's more dangerous. He's the one that's hitting his stride. I think he's on the incline while Hooker a little more on the decline. Even though Hooker's fighting good guys like Arman, probably, him and Ilya, the two best lightweights in the world. But I think BSD has a very similar kind of style to where he can pressure him, take him down, weaponize the submission game. And even if it's on the feet, BSD's got the power advantage. So I think that Hooker's better on the feet, a little more technical, got more tools, more comfortable on the feet. So if Hooker could stop the takedowns and keep this on the feet, Hooker's actually got a solid chance to get it done. But I just think BSD's grappling is going to be a problem, man. So I'm going to pick BSD by second round sub. Last but not least, we have arrived at the main event. And if you guys are enjoying this video, if you could please do me a favor, give it a like, hype the video. And if you're new, if you could subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate the support, man. Main event, we got Volk versus Lopes 2. Is the second time a charm for Diego Lopes? Did he gather enough data on Volkanovski to come in here and finish the job? One of the big things about Diego Lopes, I picked him the first time around, right? And the reason I picked him the first time around is because Diego Lopes is super dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Big for the weight class, right? 5'11", 72.5-inch reach. He looks like a lightweight to me in the featherweight division. Very dangerous. So with Diego Lopes on the feet, you're in danger at all times. He's got power in his hands, nasty leg kicks, pressures the heck out of his opposition, landed that nasty spinning elbow on Jean Silva, which was a crazy knockout that got him this opportunity. The first time around, Volkanovski stunts on him. Volkanovski schools him, right? Diego Lopes had him in some trouble at moments, right? I think it was round 2, was able to drop him, was able to hurt him. But outside of that, it was pretty much Volkanovski sticking and moving and grooving and outscoring him, man. Taking him to school. But Volkanovski has not fought since that Diego Lopes fight. So he's had all this time to kind of sit, let this marinate, watch the tape, watch Diego Lopes fight John Silva, watch John Silva land a lot of really good shots on Diego Lopes, shots that probably put just about anybody else away. And Diego Lopes has a granite chin, we know that. Probably the most durable guy in this weight class. Was riding a nice win streak coming into it, man. And what you saw in the Sodiq Yusuff fight was he got right after him at UFC 300, got in his face, overwhelmed him, backed him up against the fence, took him out. Goes out there against Dan Ige. I give him a pass for this being a decision and kind of looking the way it did because his fight fell apart with Ortega. Then he had an opponent, didn't have an opponent. Ige took the fight on like 2 hours notice. So all the mental, I got a fight, I don't have a fight. So I don't know. That to me, you weren't going to see the best version of Diego in there. Goes out there and knocks out Brian Ortega with the right hand, wakes him up with the left hook. If he didn't throw the left hook, I think he knocks out Ortega. Go back and watch that highlight. It was crazy. The first time around, I was nervous the entire time for Volk. I was. Because of the power of Diego Lopes. And Diego Lopes, he's got big leg kicks, man. He's got nasty power. It was his first 5-round fight in the UFC against Volkanovski, and I wondered if we were going to see a more patient Diego Lopes, and we did. Number one, because it's a 25-minute fight, first title fight. Number two, the mystique of Volkanovski. I'm in here with this legend. I'm in here with this OG Volkanovski. And I feel like that was a big factor for Diego. He had so much respect for Volkanovski early in that fight, and I don't know that he's going to do that again in this fight. I think he's going to be more aggressive. He's going to try to bring out that vintage Diego, getting in his face, getting after him and trying to finish the job because he knows if I don't do that, I'm not going to be able to keep up with the speed and the pace of Volkanovski for 25 minutes. At least I don't think so. I think Diego Lopes comes out here, works the lead leg of Volkanovski, tries to make him more of a stationary target, and tries to walk him down and land the boxing to put him away. Do I think it's going to happen? I think he's going to hurt Volkanovski again, but I don't think he's beating Volkanovski in the rematch, man. Maybe he does. Maybe he lands that shot. Because when you're in here against Diego Lopes for another 25 minutes, you're putting Volk back in here with the most dangerous featherweight on the roster, in my opinion, again for another 25 minutes. It just feels like what could go wrong. It feels like the stars are aligning for Diego Lopes to go out here and get the job done, and it feels like the UFC almost wants it. It feels like they want Diego to go out here, right? They're hyping him up, and I like Diego Lopes. He's a great fighter. But Volkanovski's one of the all-time greats. And while I think Diego Lopes is really good and he's going to have more data here and I think he's going to be more aggressive, the problem with Diego is he doesn't have good defense. He relies on that high guard, does not move his head, right? Kind of just a Pez dispenser, pops his head back, eats a ton of damage, relies on his chin and his durability. But the biggest thing about Diego is while he can pressure guys, his footwork is not that good. And if you watch a lot of the fights where Diego backs these guys up and puts them away, it's because they don't move. They're sitting ducks right in front of Diego Lopes. They're sitting ducks up against the octagon side. He pins them up against, the octagon, up against the fence, and they don't move. They just sit there and cover up. And then Diego tees off and knocks them out. I think Diego Lopes is going to look at what Elliott did, right? Bash the lead leg of Volkanovski, try to hinder his movement, slow down the movement. That's what I would be doing if I was Diego, right? And then try to walk him down and land those big shots. Diego Lopes is, of course, live to knock Volkanovski out at any moment. Because Volkanovski, to me, the chin, it's suspect. It is. Right? And it felt like the undoing was, right, he goes out there, dominates Yair, but, goes out there, gets brutally knocked out by Islam Makhachev, that short notice fight. And I hated that he did that. And I hated that the UFC wasted that rematch on short notice like that. Comes back too soon against Elliott Topuria. But regardless, Elliott Topuria was going to knock out Volk. He's a kryptonite-like matchup for Volkanovski. Attack the lead leg of Volkanovski. That was the most unsung hero thing that Topuria, the most fine detail of that fight, was how Topuria attacked the calf of Volkanovski to slow him down, to march him up against the fence, get to his boxing, and knock him out. That right hand that Ilya landed knocks anyone at featherweight, 55, and welterweight out, in my opinion. If he lands that right hand, it was a missile. It was a heat-seeking missile. I just don't think Diego Lopes has that kind of approach. Like, maybe he does. Maybe he can land that shot. Maybe Volkanovski gets caught slipping in the pocket or, Diego just times him with a counter shot, marches him down, overwhelms Volk. Volk's not ready, but I just don't see that. I don't see it. Like I said, of course it's possible, but he doesn't have the setup capabilities that a guy like Ilya has, right? And you saw what, Max Holloway, how Ilya set him up and was able to knock him out, right? And the reason I'm drawing these comparisons is because people are like, well, Diego Lopes has got the power, so he should be able to knock out Volk. Look what Ilya did. He's got similar power, and it's like, it's different, man. Ilya Topuria got this crazy boxing style, and the way that he approached Volkanovski, Diego Lopes' footwork is not good. He doesn't cut the octagon off very well. He just kind of follows Volkanovski around, which allows Volk, who has very, very good footwork and good movement and good speed, to easily circle out, easily circle off, easily get back to space, easily get away from these traps up against the fence. And Volkanovski, when you give him a rematch, man, he gathers a lot of data. And I think that he's going to come out here. I think he's going to be very prepared for this fight. I like that he's been sparring with a guy like Mauricio Ruffy. Alexander Volkanovski is a stout ball of muscle. He's a hard guy to deal with. And again, Volk's got to be careful because Diego Lopes has got a super dangerous jiu-jitsu game. One of the most dangerous guys, I think, in the UFC when it comes to jiu-jitsu is Diego Lopes. Nasty on the ground. So it's not like Volkanovski can just... I don't know that he could just come out here and if it gets hairy on the feet, take him down and just control him on the ground. He's going to have to be very careful. Right? I know he's working with Craig Jones, right? And Craig's taking some heat, right? Because he's coming into these camps and it's not really helping. But I do think it's helped Volkanovski. I really do. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see Volkanovski look to grapple a little bit more in this fight. Try to keep Diego down. Try to neutralize him a little bit because Volk's got very good ground and pound. While it's dangerous, and that's a scary game because Diego's got nasty jiu-jitsu, Volkanovski's got really good ground and pound, and he knows how to stay safe. He gets into these top positions. He postures up in your guard and rains down nasty shots, and I feel like that's a good way to slow down Diego. It's a good way to wear on him. It's a good way to tire him out. I just feel like Volkanovski, it's going to be similar to what we saw in the first fight. I think he's going to be in some trouble at some moments. I think Diego maybe takes a round or two. I think it's going to be a little bit closer in this fight. We're going to have those scares where it's like, Diego almost knocked him out. But I think Volkanovski's speed is going to be on display. I mean, Volk's an all-time great, man. And I know he's 37, right? He's getting older. He's almost had a year off here, right? And it just feels like this is kind of Diego's time. The energy really does feel that way, and maybe it is. But Volkanovski's one of the greatest fighters of all time, man. Like, he's not just some champion in the featherweight division. He's one of the all-time greats. He's got brilliant fight IQ. His footwork is really good. I think he's going to chip away with the leg kicks. And we've seen Diego when he gets overly aggressive. He waves you on. He gets irritated. He just wants to slug. And those are the moments when he gets overly aggressive to where we saw Volkanovski time him on the way in with some nasty shots of his own. And while Diego kind of has the power advantage here, Volkanovski still got some sneaky power, man. I know he's more of a volume-based guy that can accumulate damage, but I think that Volkanovski goes out here and wins another decision. I think it's going to be closer this time. I'm going to say 3-2 Volkanovski here. Or maybe he makes it look easier. I know that sounds crazy, but I think Volkanovski's going to go out here and win a decision 3-2, unanimous on the scorecards. And Volkanovski, to me, this would be one of the most impressive wins of his entire career, if not the most, because Diego's that dangerous, dude. And getting locked in there for another 25 minutes with someone as dangerous as Diego, it just feels like you're asking for problems. So I like Diego a lot. I like both of these guys a lot. This is going to be a fun fight. It's going to be a banger. What it comes down to for me is I don't know if Diego has the footwork to be able to trap Volkanovski up against the fence where I feel like that's where Diego would be able to finish him. That's what it comes down to for me. If Diego can trap him, solve his footwork issues, cut the octagon off a little bit better, work at the lead leg of Volkanovski to slow him down, then march him down up against the fence, crash him up against the boards, let those nasty shots go in close, Diego can definitely knock Volk out. The problem is, I don't know if he can get to that position enough to be able to find that shot on Volkanovski. I'm going to pick Volk to stick and move, use his fight IQ, possibly weaponize some grappling, land some nasty ground and pound, control Diego Lopes in the top position, be able to outscore him, get the jab going, time Diego on the way in, frustrate him, and play the matador role for 25 minutes and outpoint Diego Lopes once again. But you got to be careful. Diego Lopes got a mustache now, man. Got some confidence. Knocked out John Silva, right? But again, Silva was landing some good shots. So while I don't think Volkanovski's quite the same guy as he was in his prime, I still think that he is a dang good fighter. He's one of the all-time greats. He's on his second title run here in the weight class. I think Volkanovski gets the job done once again. But I'm going to be happy for whoever wins, man, because I like both of these guys, but it would be pretty brutal to see Diego knock out Volkanovski. It would, man. Volk's one of my favorite fighters of all time. Absolutely love Volkanovski. Like Diego Lopes. May the best man win. It just comes down to the fact that I don't know if Diego has the footwork to be able to trap Volkanovski consistently enough to be able to find that shot that he is looking for. I think Volk's going to be prepared this time around. I think he's been thinking about this rematch for a while. I know that he was surprised by this booking. He thought it would maybe be Lerone or Mobsar, but I think Volkanovski, he's been in there with Lopez. They've been in there with each other. They know what to expect this time around. We're going to possibly see some different tricks up their sleeves from both of these guys. Volk has all the championship experience in the world. I think he makes some adjustments and goes out here and outscores Diego Lopez to win and keep his belt. And I think Volkanovski will at least fight a couple more fights, man. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to hype this video as well. And if you're new, if you could sub to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you next time.